going to take a look at the electrical system. This is a 100 amp service, which, think about this house now. You have an electric stove, you have an electric dryer. Obviously all of your appliances are electric. You have an electric well pump. 100 amps is minimal for all of that. So if you were ever going to add central air conditioning to this house or any other major appliances, you would want to upgrade. A lot of people don't decide to upgrade anyway when they have 100 amps. So you may want to upgrade to 150, possibly 200 amps, and that's something that you'd have to discuss with an electrician. These are all your circuit breakers, and they're labeled, although I can't vouch for the accuracy of the labels, but that's a good sign. Now I'm going to remove the cover and see what we can see on the inside. Okay. This is where the main service comes in, splits up right here. These are all copper wires, right there, copper. That might be aluminum. Copper. That might be aluminum there, too. Aluminum. They have some original aluminum wires in here. Aluminum can be problematic in wires because they can basically build up heat, and it's a concern. It's definitely a concern, and it's definitely something that you're going to want to have an electrician check just for safety purposes, because there's maintenance that's required with aluminum wires. Sometimes aluminum wires are actually, they look like aluminum, but they're really a copper covered with aluminum. And I'm just digging into the surface here to see. Don't do this at home, by the way. In fact, they are copper wires with aluminum covering, so that's better than just plain aluminum. So that's good. You can see a little bit of rust right here. That's probably just from humidity down in the basement. I wouldn't be too concerned about it. But given the fact that there is an aluminum covering over the copper wires, I am going to advise you to get an electrician to look at this, because you just don't mess with electricity. This is a temperature, basically it's a laser thermometer, and I'm going to just see if we can see any excessive heat buildup here. And so far so good. Looks good. I don't see any extra heat. And I see an abandoned wire here, and I don't know if it's hot or not, but I'm going to use my sniffer. See, that tells you that there's electricity right there, and over here there's nothing. So this is good. This is an abandoned wire, and it should be removed all the way back to wherever it's tied in. And that's something that you should have an electrician do too. So that's basically it with your electrical situation, at least at the main panel. System and the oil burner system. I can see right here, this is the electrical supply for the oil burner, and you can see that the cover is missing here, and the cover is missing there as well. And it's an electrical shock hazard. If you had a child come over here, he could just put his hands on that and get electrocuted. So, and this is an electrician's job. You need to have an electrician come and put a cover on these things so that you know that it's done safely. These are exhaust vents, and you can see that they're properly slanted up. This is properly slanted up, so that's done nicely. So you can see over here that there's a looks like just an old piece of wire that's supporting the exhaust stack right here, which is obviously not the proper way to do it. It's amateurish work. So this should be just removed, and whatever needs to be done to properly support that, that's what should happen. The oil burner service company should be dealing with that. And this is the expansion tank for the hot water system. And this should be drained, and it should not be filled with water, but it is filled with water. So this should be drained at least on an annual basis, and the service company that's dealing with this system should have already drained this. So whoever the service company is, I would consider changing or yelling at them. So that's it for this side of it. Now we'll take a look at the oil burner itself. Now, taking just a picture of this side of it. This looks to be original. It's probably like a 1950s oil burner system. And these things last forever. They just keep on chugging along, but it's not going to be as efficient as a new one, obviously. The new ones are half the size, and they're much more efficient. I'm going to take this cover off, take a look on the inside. And this is the oil burner head right here. And you can see that the head has been changed. It's not the original head, so this part of it has been changed, which is a good thing. And this is the fire box, the chamber in here where the fire actually gets developed. And it actually looks like it's in pretty good shape. It's amazing these things can last as long as they do, but they do. So this is a kind of a thing where it's your decision as to whether or not you just want to go ahead and bite the bullet and put a new system in. They are more efficient. And a brand new system is not going to just fail like some of them do. So that's just something that you might want to consider as time goes on, budgeting for the replacement of the oil burner. Now over here, here's your separate, it's a separate hot water heater. And it is a 32-gallon hot water heater. And I'll see if I can determine the age of it. Yeah, from the serial number you can tell it's a 1981 oil-fired hot water heater, separate hot water heater. These last about somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 15 years as their intended design lifespan. And this one is already, let's see, over 25 years old. So sometimes these fail catastrophically, which means they just basically open up and you'll have a flood down here. Sometimes they just drip slowly and you have no issue. With one this old, you probably just want to go ahead and plan on replacing it because it is so far over its intended lifespan. So that's kind of it for the hot water system. Okay, there are several components to the structural system, and we're going to take a look at all of them. First, this is the main girder that spans the whole length of the house. And you can see that there are actually these are three 2x6s that are together that go the length of the house. And they're supported by a steel lally column here, and one over on this side. And at the other end, there's a concrete column that supports that end, which is done properly. And there's also one all the way at the other end, which is also done well. I don't see any problems with this. There is a little bit of sagging right around here, but it's a little deflection, but not bad at all. It's not something that I would be too concerned about. This happens on older houses. This house is over 50 years, so I don't see that as a problem at all. We took a look at the block foundation, and I don't see any cracks at all, which is pretty amazing. And I don't see any signs of water intrusion, which is great. You do have a few just really simple settlement cracks, and again, these are nothing to be too concerned about. When you have a poured concrete structure like this, it cracks. Concrete cracks. So I'm just going to take a picture of that to document it, and again, all of these pictures will be included in the report. Okay, over here. Oh, and by the way, you saw me stomp on the floor upstairs, and when I stomped on the floor, it was nice and solid. So all of these are 2x10 floor joists that are 16 inches on center, which is, good standard quality construction. Now over here, I see that somebody put in a 4x4 post and a screw jack, which